YouTubers, you potatoes. A lot of time we run into roadside emergencies, and they're called emergencies because you don't expect them. One of the most common is when a tire goes flat, so I'm going to show you today how to deal with that. So, first things first, the parking brake. If you have to change a rear tire on the car, sometimes you don't want to put the parking brake on. You put it in park, or if you have a standard transmission, you put it in first, or reverse if you're facing downhill. And then you can jack up the car from behind and change the rear tire. If you leave the parking brake on, you'll have a hell of a time getting the rear tire off because you'll have to fight the parking brake to remove it. It holds onto your tire, so it only makes sense. Today, I'm going to change a front tire just to kind of show you. I won't actually be changing it, but I'll be taking it off, putting it back on, and showing you how to do that. So first things first, if it's a front tire, you want to make sure that your parking brake is on. So let's do that real quick. Good. Alright, simple enough. So, next step, one thing you always want to keep in your car, I find is really handy, are a pair of mechanics gloves. They don't have to be mechanics, the brand or anything, just a pair of even leather gloves. Keeps you clean when you have to work with tires or any engine parts. So if you have a job interview, that's always when your tire's going to go out, isn't it? So you can stay nice and sharp looking and not get yourself covered in grease. So, real nice to have. Second is a tire iron, usually a 4-way. If you can pick one of these up, they're really good because you can switch out which size you need. If you need to stop to help anybody change their tire or just to take the guesswork out of your car. As well as these give you a lot better leverage than the tire irons that usually come with the car. The little flopsy-wopsy ones that are just kind of, they have a little part that moves. Don't rely on those. Get one of these. It'll save you a lot of trouble. If you're crazy about keeping your stuff prepared, I also recommend a floor jack. These things are great to have. They're a lot easier to use than the scissor jacks that come with cars. Scissor jacks are the ones that you open up, you turn a little thing on the end usually, or on the bottom, depending on the jack design, and they'll separate apart to lift the car up. And sometimes you have to use the tire iron to do that, and it's just a big mess. This one is stupid easy though, so I highly recommend it. Alright, so getting right into it. With the car in park, you want to automatically go towards moving any cover. My Chevy comes with a hubcap that covers the entire wheel like this here. So these aren't the actual lug nuts. So that comes off nice and easy. Okay, so you have your lug nuts. Now before you jack the car up at all, you want to loosen these up before you get it up. If you get the car up and you start to try to loosen these, your tire is going to spin with them and it's not going to let you do it. So, underneath your car, there are two little notches. They should be somewhere around here. Mine are, let's use the frame on this one. So anywhere that looks solid. You don't want to go for anything that looks like a pipe or a loose piece of metal because you can bend the living crap out of your car doing that. So, you can see I started to jack it, but I'm not going to put it up yet because I want to loosen this up first. So, let's go for the first one here. You got to find what size lug you need. Now with these, like I said, they give you a lot of leverage, and that'll really help you in loosening them up. I just want to show you how quick and easy changing a tire is here. Okay. So those are all loose now. You don't want them too loose. You don't want your tire to roll off on you. These are so much easier than the scissor jacks too. They're so much faster. Now if you can, you want to do this with your car not on an incline. Mine is on an incline here, so you can hear the jack is having some time struggling with the car here. Now you don't need it completely off the ground, just tall enough that you can get it off of your wheel, your rotor. So these are nice and loose. Let's speed this up here. Okay. Now it doesn't matter what age you are or how strong you are. These tire irons are really easy to use. Just about anybody can do it. So Again, I highly recommend those. Really easy. Okay, now, also really important, make sure your lug nuts don't roll away. Because if you're on a street and these go rolling off and rolling down a storm grate, you're going to have a really hard time getting them back. So, and you want to keep all your lug nuts if you can. Alright, so all the lug nuts are off. You want to lift it up and straight back. Oh, needs to be a little bit higher. Okay, there we go. Alright, so it should just come straight off, just like that. Now, while you're here, even if it's a roadside emergency, take a look at your rotor. It should be nice and smooth. If there are any grooves in there, that's a sign that you might need to replace your brakes, because it's putting grooves into your rotor. That's bad. So, mine looks good, a little rusty, not bad. You can spray it up with some brake cleaner, that'll dry off and help it out. So, I'm going to put the same tire back on, and if you have a full-size spare, which means you have a full other tire waiting to slap on there, that's usually the best option. A lot of cars come with the little donut tires. They're only about as big as this rim here, and those will get you somewhere, but they're only good for about 50 miles, or I think it's about 100 kilometers, and then they're kaput. You don't want to use them. So putting a tire on, you want to line up your top hole with a top lug, if you can. That makes it really easy. Just line it up. Try to slide it on there. If you need to, rest it on one and turn it so you can find the others. Yeah, there we go. And just slap it on there. Get this up a little bit more. You want to be able to push the tire all the way back onto it there. Okay, just like that. Now, you have it here. What you want to do is take your lug nuts and start putting them back on. I highly recommend the bottom one first, because that's going to be the hardest part of the tire to hold on. It's going to want to rock out. So do that. And really important habit. This is one of the most important things I want to teach you. Whenever you put lug nuts on, you always put them on and tighten them in a star shape. So if you notice, I put this one on, then I'll go this one here, and then this one here. Now the reason we want to do that is because then it evens out the tire, especially when you tighten them. So if you tighten them in a circle, what happens is the tire gets uneven, and it can cause a lot of tire wobble, tire damage, just all sorts of really nasty things. So, alright, now you want to tighten these things, not too tight, and you'll notice the wheel's starting to turn on me here. Just get them just tight enough to set it back down. Let's do that again. So just until you feel like you can't turn it easily anymore. And then just a little bit farther if you can without the wheel turning on you. Let's do it again. That's good. Okay. Now the last tool I want to show you is a torque wrench. This one's a really neat one. It's got this little lever. What happens is whenever I pull on this, and it provides torque on my socket, this lever will push and show me how many pounds I'm putting on as far as pressure. So I'll show you that. It comes in handy here in a sec. Now another thing about floor jacks, the scissor jacks I mentioned before, you have to do the exact opposite to drop it again. You have to turn the little lever to get it to collapse and let the tire down. If you use a floor jack, you just give it a twist, and voila. Easy as that. Okay. Wind picked up, so here's the narration. On the floor jack, there's a little knob on the back of it. If you turn it counterclockwise, it'll drop the car back down for you. Nice and easy. Now with a 4-way wrench or a torque wrench, most importantly the torque wrench, whenever you tighten it, that little lever will show you how many pounds you are. You want to look up in your user manual how many pounds you should put onto the tire so that you don't overcrank it and possibly shear your lugs. Now with the 4-way wrench, you have to push it just about as far as you can easily tighten it, and then as soon as it stops and you can't get it any further, good measurement is to use halfway between your fingernail and the first knuckle on your finger. It's about ½ an inch, just about that far. You want to push it where you can't get it any further, and then push it that little bit more to make sure it's nice and tight. That'll get you where you need to go. Again, don't over tighten it or you'll shear it off. For this one, my car is set at about 90 pounds of torque for the lug nuts, so I push it until the little lever reads 90, and then I know to stop there. The lever's in red, the lugs are in yellow, and I stopped recording there, so I had to start the video again at this point. Alright, stopped recording on me there for a second. I was going to say, if you have a tire cap cover, or a tire hub cover, then this is when you want to pop it back on. Now a lot of these will have a little slot. If you have one, it'll line up with your little air valve. So just line that up, smack it up, back on there, tighten this up, and you're good. Now the awesome thing about having gloves, like I said, is it keeps you nice and clean, and for me it means I can touch my camera and not get tire grease all over it. Because if you mess with tires, you'll turn everything black if you touch it. So, yeah, just like that. And that's how you change a tire. So, I gotta figure out why this jet won't come out. Just being stubborn. Alright, so I hope that was nice and short and easy. It doesn't take too much time, and if you're not yakking like I was, it takes a little less time than that if you practice at it. Now what I recommend, if you get all the right tools, go out in your front yard and change your tire when you're not in an emergency. You'll know how to do it whenever you are in an emergency. Take care, stay safe, and always remember when you pull off on the side of the road, make sure you have plenty of space between you and the road, and make sure you have a way to get out. If anybody hits your car, you're going to want to be able to jump out of the way